Barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. So I forgot I had a hour long, man. I don't know. It went by so fast. 30 minutes to 45-minute conversation with Derek James, 3 o'clock in the morning, in the hotel lobby, after the Berto Porter fight. And I just want to talk to you about this. I'll set the setting. So I'm sitting there with Barack from This Is 50. You guys need to listen to his show. Him and go to thisis50.com. It's a boxing show. Him and Derek James supporter, older man, probably about 85. And who else? Al Bernstein from Showtime. And how Al Bernstein get off. I asked Al Bernstein about the fight, and he had a great conversation. Al Bernstein thinks I'm a genius. No, for real. He thinks I'm like, he couldn't believe the things that was coming out of my mouth. And but anyhow, moving forward, Derek James is coming up the escalator, the hotel, and the 85-year-old man, which is a Derek James supporter, Team Charlo and Team Errol Spence, he says, Derek James, you got to come over here. Listen to what this guy is talking about. He's talking about me. This guy think Errol Spence going to lose. And this and that. And I said, Derek, plain and simple. You guys, you guys know I'm very respectful. I'm very respectful. So there's no disrespect in terms of Derek James, and especially in front of the 85-year-old man. And I just casually said, I have my reservations because I've never, ever seen Errol Spence in a big fight. Now, remember that video I did months ago about about the concerns I had for Errol Spence going forward? And he expressed to me that they leave in 2 weeks before the fight. And I explained to him I have no idea what to expect from Errol Spence. And I just don't know. And he went on to talk about Errol Spence as if he's special. He is special. And listening to Derek James talk about Errol Spence will convince you that Errol Spence is special. So he was, I mean, we were talking, it was literally just he and I conversing with other people throwing, excuse me, other people throwing in anecdotes and stuff like that. And so, and I said, Derek, I said, I invest in property because I know 100% I'm going to get a return. If Errol Spence is a stock, I don't bet on unproven commodities anymore because I'm an older man. I'm 40. I have a child, and I'm just afraid to make that mistake. You know what I mean? I'm not in my 20s. And so, and I'm very pragmatic. And my day one subscribers know I'm very pragmatic in terms of the decisions that I make and how I view a certain situation. And he and I are literally having a great conversation. There's no animosity, and he's just proving his case for Errol Spence because I'm bringing up valid points in terms of, and literally, Al Bernstein is sitting there listening. Barack from This Is 50 is listening, and we got Adrian Broner on the outside. I mean, he's about 4 feet away from us, but he's just going back and forth in the lobby, in the hotel lobby. Who else is there? Joe Cortez is sitting on the couch. No, Joe Cortez. Well, he was there for like 5 or 10 minutes, then he went up to his hotel room. So it's like a Hall of Fame. It's like a Hall of Fame lobby, right? And we're having this conversation. And Derek James goes on to teach me about how Errol Spence punches. And what he did teach me, what I never thought about, people say you are born a power puncher. You can't be taught a power puncher. Sorry, I just got a text. He was explaining to me about power, how it can be taught. And he says it's science. Basically, you can torque your body and put as much power in it. You teach people how to throw punches properly, and that's how you generate power. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, you make a whole lot of sense. It's like my jump shot. You know, how I worked on my pull-up jump shot in high school and college, and so it can be as efficient as possible, right? I had to have a quick release because I'm a short guard in comparison to the people I was playing against. So I had to have a quick, compact release. And so he went on, and we had a great conversation. And I wish I would have did this video immediately after the conversation, but it went on for like 30, 45 minutes. And he was eloquent in his speaking. And the one thing I will tell you is he understands what he's doing. His style, in terms of being a power train, I think he's a power puncher trainer. Because if you look at Charlo, if you look at Errol Spence, you look at his two thoroughbreds, they believe in punch placement and generating power. And that's what he's going to do to Carol Brook. And I asked him, I says, is that the game plan we saw in Jamel tonight? Is that the game plan for Errol Spence? And he says, well, he went on to say, the reason why Jamel was so good because he sparred Errol Spence. And so I proceeded to ask him who's better, Jamel or Earl. He wouldn't answer the question. And then I'm trying to get all this information back, but I'll just say this. I'm going to summarize the conversation. Derek James believes in what he's doing in Errol Spence and believes in Errol Spence. He invited me down to the camp. He said, I want you to come down to camp. And he says, I told him I'm not betting on this fight. I'm not betting who I'm rooting for. I told him I'm rooting for Errol Spence, but I can't bet on this fight because people are making Kell Brook out to be a nobody. And I said, Kell Brook is not a nobody. Let me tell you something. If you beat Sean Porter, you're a hell of a fighter. If you don't believe me, Keith Thurman's confidence against Danny Garcia came from him beating Sean Porter. And you can see it in the Showtime thing that they did when a random fan asked him. A random fan told Keith Thurman, Sean Porter prepared you for this moment. And Keith Thurman said, yeah, Sean Porter actually did. And you could tell that his confidence was growing from it. And I actually did that in my prediction video for Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia, and which was absolutely perfect. But I just want to say I enjoyed the conversation with Derek James. I apologize. I'm losing a lot of details because the conversation was long, lengthy, and very intricate. And I'm just drawing a blank on it. But I just thought it was just so cool that I'm having a conversation with Derek James. Joe Cortez is sitting to my left. Al Bernstein is literally just standing and listening. Al Bernstein was there for an hour because I called Al Bernstein over before Derek James got there. And he actually said on that fight, if you remember, he's going to use 3 or 4 of my lines and give me credit. And but let's see, Al Bernstein, who else? Barack from This Is 50. And literally, no one's paying attention to Adrian Broner, but Adrian Broner is just walking back and forth in the hotel lobby. And that's it. He had a girl with him. I'll do a video on Adrian Broner later about that night. And so that's my conversation with Derek James. I should call him. Maybe I will call him because he would remember who I am now. And I told him who I was, and I believe he's seen some of my videos on the line, and that's what inspired the conversation to go at its length. But I'm rooting for Errol Spence. I'm rooting for Derek James. I want them to win, and we should all get behind Errol Spence. May 27th, we will find out is Errol Spence who we think he is. We don't know yet. You know, there's been, and then I alluded to, there's been many bums. Kwame Brown. You know, he was supposed to be the power forward version of LeBron James. You know, Michael Olowokandi was supposed to be Hakeem Olajuwon. You know, Tony Manders was supposed to be Tony Baselli. Quentin Coriat was supposed to be Quentin Coriat. Texas A&M, I'm sorry, I'm dating you guys, was supposed to be the most athletic middle linebacker in NFL history in the early 90s. Steve Entman was supposed to be better than Reggie White. You know, there's so many examples of potential greatness. You know, we can use, there's so many, Zab Judah, Ricardo Williams. There's so many examples that we can go through. But anyways, man, Barbershop Conversations. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Errol Spence, I'm pulling for you. I can't wait to cover this fight. After the 20th, I'll be spotty, but after the 20th, it'll be all Errol Spence. And I'm rooting for you, and I hope that you beat Kell Brook. But just know, you're fighting in front of 20,000 people, and the over-under is a round and a half. So you'll be down a round and a half at round one. So get the knockout. And Derek James said something that, oh, this is another thing Derek James said. His game plan. I don't know if I should say this on. Well, it was around mixed people, but he said the game plan is to hurt you every round so you don't recover. That was the game plan for Jamel Charlo. But I could tell he was speaking of Jamel Charlo in terms of how he views his training. So anyhow, Barbershop Conversations. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, and talk to you guys soon. Peace.